Kimura was a pathetic simp who was in love with a shy airhead who has negative 1000 vision. But when he discovers she's a freak without her glasses on, he becomes her handyman that simps harder for her in hopes that she would one day fall for him. It all started one morning during history class, but Kimura couldn't hear a word from the teacher because he was too busy staring at his crush Mai, who was seated beside him. However, despite the fact that Mai came to school without her glasses, he couldn't help but drool over how cute she looked without them. When she greeted him in class, Kimura responded like a typical shy virgin and couldn't bring himself to ask because he knew he had negative riz. Surprisingly, Mai broke the ice by calling to his attention and explaining that the reason she was squinting so much was because she couldn't see. So he decided to support her as a neighbor. Mai's situation was so bad that she couldn't identify which of her textbooks was for history, so she asked Kimura for help. But all it took was one glance at her adorable face to have him leaping backwards like a monkey. He tried to maintain a safe distance by offering her his textbook instead, but she scooted her seat to a spot right beside him, causing him to leap away. Mai suggested they read the history book together, and when he agreed, Mai made things hard for the poor boy by getting uncomfortably close to him as she buried her face in the textbook while trying to read it. To avoid his brain having a meltdown, Kimura told her to use the textbook by herself, and as he watched her bury her face even deeper into his book, she stunned him by coming up close to him again and asking who he was. When he told her his name, she thanked him for his help before burying her face in his textbook again. After class, Kimura met Mai in the school hallway and she complained that her shoes were too big, causing him to realize that the clumsy idiot was wearing his shoes instead of her own. When he pointed it out, she explained that because of her blindness, she had to try to find her shoes using her hands and ended up wearing his own pair by mistake because they were the same brand of Temu Nikes. Kimura decided to take his simping to the next level by helping her tie her shoelaces. As he tied them, she thanked him for his help throughout the day, and Kimura's mind started stumbling into La La Land again before she interrupted his fantasies by bringing her face up close to his and saying that she wanted to make sure she remembers his face. That evening, Kimura was on his balcony, and he realized that the reason a dumb klutz like Mai was able to survive for so long was because her home was close to school, and he wished that she would forget her glasses again, sometimes so he could see her eyes once again. The next morning, Kimura was stunned when he found out that Mai accidentally broke her glasses, and he felt guilty because he knew he'd jinxed her with his stupid wishes. During science class, Kimura noticed that Mai was sleeping, but he couldn't muster up the courage to touch her because he knew it would make him spill his natural whipped cream all over himself. When the teacher yelled at her to wake up, Kimura lied that Mai wasn't sleeping and was rather burying her face in her book because of her impaired vision, and their teacher bought it completely. Some minutes later, Mai suddenly woke up and stunned Kimura by calling him dad before asking where her glasses were. He tried to explain that he wasn't her dad, but she got uncomfortably close to him again and ended up falling asleep on top of him, causing him to struggle with his virgin urges. He wished for that moment to last forever, but their teacher disrupted it immediately by smacking Mai in the head with a notebook. The next morning, Kimura was shocked to see that Mai had forgotten her glasses again, and she stunned him even more by coming up close to him and saying she finally knew what he looked like before walking away to meet her other friends. Some hours later, Kimura and Mai were serving people food in the school cafeteria, and Mai was fumbling hard because once again, she wasn't wearing her glasses. Kimura knew that the reason she was in that situation was because of his dumb wish, which somehow cursed her into destroying her glasses, so he decided to help her out with lunch duty for the day. Seeing that Mai was messing up people's lunches, Kimura offered to take care of the stew, but she disagreed by babbling some Inkohizuma tea nonsense, causing him to advise her to serve the stew more gently. However, she started serving the students ridiculously small portions instead, which made Kimura suggest they switch roles once again, but she refused before expressing how much she'd love to try out some stew. Kimura asked if she liked stew, and she said yes before redirecting the question to him. In response, Kimura said he preferred curry, and their conversation was cut short when a random fathead from their class came to request for more meat. Kimura was ready to verbally assault the idiot for stressing out Mai, but he was stunned when Mai responded in a rather calm manner as she asked to give him some more potatoes instead. However, she ended up giving him a ton of meat, and Kimura realized that her mistake was due to the fact that meat and potatoes had the exact same color. When their lunch duty was over, Mai gave Kimura some food and whispered into his ear that she saved him a lot of meat in his stew as a way of repaying him for helping her during her blind episodes the other day. She once again asked Kimura if he liked stew, and this time he was so flustered by her charming smile that he instantly replied that he loved stew more than anything. When Kimura and Mai's friends were chowing down on the meal she saved for them, they realized that she'd stacked their stew with potatoes instead of meat. Sometime later, Mai walked into class without her glasses for the first time in a week and brought out some contact lenses which she said confessed that she'd never used before because of how hard they were to take off. However, she decided to give them a try, and when Kimura saw how hard she struggled in her attempt to put them on, he gave a dramatic hero speech about how she could rely on him to be her valiant savior instead of using the lenses she was afraid of using. Everyone in class was stunned by this random outburst of stupidity, but Mai got teary-eyed as she thanked Kimura. When Mai walked into school the next day, Kimura couldn't understand why she had a sour expression on her face despite having the glasses on, and when he asked why she was squinting, she replied that her glasses got foggy due to how stuffy it was outside. Just then, a fat four-eyed classmate of theirs named Takeda walked into their class, and Mai's blurred vision deceived her into thinking it was Aizen from Bleach, so she suggested calling the teacher to deal with the intruder, but Kimura told her it was only their overweight classmate. She wondered if other people would have problems recognizing her as well, and when Kimura told her not to worry about that, she replied that the person she wanted to recognize her the most was Kimura, causing his mind to wander into another dimension. Some hours later, Mai met up with Kimura in class and asked for his ID on their version of WhatsApp named Lime, and after their scared contacts, Kimura asked why she requested it. She said she needed it in case she needed his help whenever she loses her glasses, and when he asked why she didn't go to a family member instead, she said it would be too embarrassing for her. She also said that she was okay with Kimura seeing her in embarrassing situations, and this made the pathetic virgin's brain have another meltdown. Later that day, she texted him online to come to a place called Kichijoji Station, and he got instantly excited because he thought his GigaChad era had officially begun. When he met her there, she revealed that she fell asleep on the train and lost her glasses, which made him say that she wasn't cut out for wearing glasses. She said she needed him to help her get somewhere she needed to be, and Kimura's mind started spiraling again because he saw it as a date. When he agreed to escort her, she asked him to tug her there, causing him to completely freeze in shock. They walked hand in hand together through the town until they got to a particular restaurant where Mai confessed that she was dead set on having their special cake. Kimura noticed that Mai was struggling to locate the cake on her table, so he offered to feed it to her. To his surprise, she willingly opened up her mouth, and he ended up feeding her the cake while thinking about how proud his father would be of him. Afterwards, they went to a glasses store where Mai picked up a new pair, and Kimura decided never to wash the hand he used in holding me ever again. He thanked her and attempted to leave the store, but she stopped him and said she wanted to hang out a bit longer because she could finally see him clearly, causing Kimura's face to become redder than a tomato. The two lovebirds went to several more romantic locations together before parting ways, and Kimura pinched himself because he couldn't believe that the day they spent together was real. At the same time, Mai walked home while thinking about Kimura, and she realized that she spent the entire day staring at him, which was something she hadn't done for anyone else before. The next day in school, Kimura asked Mai why she was wearing a nose mask, and she said it was because she caught a cold. He noticed that her glasses were fogged up because of her breath spilling from her face mask, and she realized it as well when she saw his friends making fun of Takeda, who was in the same situation. She ended up taking off her glasses out of fear that Kimura would make fun of her, and when he asked where her glasses were, she lied that she forgot them. Several days later, Kimura ran into me emoting like a cat on a random street corner, and even though every fiber of his being wanted to capture her cuteness in a photo, he resisted the urge to take one and noticed that she was playing with a plastic bag which she thought was a cat because she'd once again forgot her glasses. He got worried that she'd feel embarrassed if she figured out the truth, so he decided to pose as the cat, but she ended up recognizing him when she looked at him. When they got to class, Kimura stood at the door frozen in shock as the most handsome guy in class named Azuma was rizzing Mai up by offering to help her find something she'd lost. She eventually found what she was looking for, and Kimura couldn't handle the sight anymore, so he looked away while wondering why he felt so bitter inside. However, in the process of thanking Azuma for helping her, she called him Kimura, and when Azuma revealed his real identity to her, she apologized and said she thought he was Kimura, the guy who always helped her out. When she expressed how embarrassed she was, Kimura realized it was all a mistake on her part, so he greeted her and she greeted him right back. The next day, Mai came to school without her glasses again, and her friends told her she looked like she was glaring at people without her glasses, causing her to take a long look in the mirror to see if they were speaking facts. When Kimura walked up to her in class, she looked back at him with a surprisingly charming facial expression, causing his mind to wander into the dream world once again until she returned her face to the usual grumpy expression as she confessed that she was trying not to furry her eyebrows in order to look better, but it made it hard for her to see. Kimura spent the entire day thinking about that charming look Mai had on her face in that split second, and he couldn't sleep that night because of that beautiful image that haunted his mind. The next day, Mai told Kimura about how her friend Asuka has trashed her at a game called Shiratori and told him to play with her because she wanted to get better at it. During the game, the two of them said some random words back at each other until Mai noticed that Kimura was going easy on her and asked him to bully her more. He heeded her request, and the game got super intense until Mai called Kimura's name, causing him to be startled and speechless. After school on a particular day, Komoda and Mai were doing cleaning duty and Komoda was feeling happy that he was getting to spend some blissful time with Mai until a cockroach appeared and started crawling towards Mai. Kimura wondered what to do because he knew Mai wasn't wearing her glasses at the moment, meaning she could get startled if he alerted her of the bug that was close to her. He eventually decided to take action by telling Mai to walk towards him, but she once again came uncomfortably close to him. Just then, their classmate named Naomi yelled that there was a cockroach in the room, causing Mai to hug Kimura tightly out of fear for her life. The next day, Mai pulled a classic klutz move by telling Kimura she'd forgotten her glasses even though they were right on top of her head. When Kimura told her about it, she tried to wear it correctly but accidentally caused it to fall off her head instead. Kimura picked it up for her, and by her request, he helped her put it back on her face. Much later, Mai was without her glasses again, and she stumbled across a letter which was left on the floor by some random girl in school. When Kimura came by, she handed it to him, and he instantly noticed that it was a love letter to Azuma. When he told her this, she took the letter and left to find Azuma, causing him to chase after her in a desperate manner. When Mai handed Azuma the love letter, everyone in class froze in shock and Kimura, who watched by the door, was about to lose his mind. Mai's friends soon started pestering her with questions about her feelings towards Azuma, and when she nonchalantly claimed to like him, every girl in class screamed in shock at the same time, not knowing that she didn't mean it in a romantic way. When Azuma left the class to read the love letter, Kimura followed him in order to find out who the sender was, but unfortunately he couldn't figure anything out because he'd never received a love letter himself. After class that day, Kimura's mind got clouded by depressing thoughts which made him feel that Mai actually liked Azuma, and she interrupted his brainstorming by asking if he was okay. Kimura asked her what she felt about Azuma, and she said she liked him, causing Kimura to wonder what form of like she meant. However, she went further and confessed to Kimura that she actually liked him and not Azuma, causing Kimura to jump out of his seat in shock. Just then, Azuma showed up and handed Mai a love letter which he claimed was a reply to her own, and Mai told Kimura to read it since she couldn't do it herself. After several minutes of panicking, Kimura finally read the letter, and in it, Azuma said that Kimura likes Mai as well. When Mai asked what the letter said, Kimura, who was feeling a whole bunch of hyper emotions at the moment, replied that Azuma thanked her for delivering the letter. Some days later, Kimura was walking to get some coffee on a windy day, and when he got to the vending machine, he met Mai, who said she was looking to get some hot cocoa. He asked if she'd be okay, and she replied that she'd be fine because even though she was blind as a bat, she's able to tell whether something is hot or cold. However, when she tasted what she ordered, she immediately spit it out because of its bitter taste and realized that it was black coffee. She asked Kimura if he could drink black coffee, and he immediately lost his cool because he realized that doing so would mean having an indirect kiss with her, causing him to lie that he couldn't drink black coffee. The next day, Kimura was running late for school, so he sprinted faster than a ninja from Naruto and ended up running into Mai, who was also running to school while gasping for air. They eventually got to a zebra crossing point where Kimura noticed that Mai had not only forgotten her glasses, but her hair was all messed up and her skirt was a bit compromised. When he called her attention to it, she said she needed to fix herself up so that Kimura wouldn't see her in a messy state when she greeted him. And this made Kimura so flustered that he spent the next couple of minutes fantasizing in that area and ended up getting to school late. A while later, Kimura was helping Muok to the infirmary after she suffered an injury during sports, and he remembered how the klutz suffered the injury during warm-up exercises before Azuma of all people motivated him to take her to the nurse's office. He started getting flustered when he noticed how close they were, and he thought that Mai wouldn't feel rattled by it as well. But when he looked at her, he noticed she was blushing, and she apologized over the fact that she'd gained some weight recently, causing him to lose his mind over how cute she looked. When they got to the nurse's office, she accidentally claimed a scale, and in an attempt to tell her she was standing on the wrong spot, he ended up seeing her weight, which was a lot less than he thought it would be. Some hours later, Kimura saw Mai struggling with some paperwork, and she explained that their teacher asked her to exchange some documents on the board, causing him to feel angry that their sensei was giving her such a tasking job despite the fact that she wasn't wearing her glasses. Kimura tried to help her out with it, but realized he was too short to do so, and ended up being the one to bail the two oversized rats out by exchanging the documents for them, causing Kimura to express his wish to be taller. However, Mai said he shouldn't get taller because she wouldn't be able to get up close to his face if he did so, and this made him swear to never get taller until the day he dies. Sometime later, he walked into class and saw her crying while reading a book, and he decided not to pry as he walked to his seat. When he took his seat, Mai explained that she was crying because she and her friends discovered something super goofy in the book they were studying that made them laugh into tears. Kimura was initially relieved to hear this, but he randomly started losing his cool as he regretted not being in class to see how cute Mai looked while laughing into tears. He got stunned when he saw her giggle while reading, and she fell asleep afterwards, leaving him satisfied that he at least got a glimpse of the blissful look he sought. During class, one of their classmates pointed out that there was a heart-shaped cloud in the sky, causing the entire class to be distracted by that sight, and Kimura noticed that Mai was struggling to see it, so he took a picture of it which he sent to her later that night. When she saw it, she was super happy, but Kimura wondered if he went a bit too far with his simping. At school the next day, a girl named Narumi met up with Kimura and showed him Mai's glasses which she found in the ladies' room, and after messing with it for a while, she wore it to him. The glasses made Kimura so dizzy that he fell, and by the time Mai wandered by the hallway, she saw Kimura inadvertently pinning Narumi to the wall because of the strain from the glasses. Narumi took off the glasses from his face, and Mai immediately rushed to mark her territory by pushing Kimura away from her. The next day, Mai came to school with her glasses, and Kimura started to feel a bit sad over the fact that he wouldn't get to help her out and get all close to her like he does when she forgets her glasses. He thought of it as a break from their lovey-dovey time, but just then, he noticed that he'd left his textbook at home, causing him to ask for her help. She immediately suggested sharing with him and moved her desk right beside his own, while expressing how glad she was to finally repay the favor for all the help he'd been giving her. Some hours later, the two of them went to a glasses store, and Mai thanked Kimura for accompanying her while informing him that the pair she was Kurizuma Tly getting were spares to replace the ones she'd lost. She said she wanted to try out different pairs and confessed that she brought him because she needed someone to tell her if the glasses she was trying looked good on her or not. She tried out different pairs of glasses while asking Kimura how she looked, and Kimura tried to give a civilized response, but his dumb brain kept spamming the word cute every time. He thought that they all looked cute on her, but wondered if he was being useless by not making a clearer judgment, and she interrupted his brainstorming once again by coming up close to him without glasses and asking if he was okay. After confirming that he was okay, Kimura apologetically told her that he wouldn't be useful because he thought she always looked cute even when she didn't wear glasses, and this made her go with her original pair. The next day, Mai came to school without glasses and told Kimura that she accidentally fell asleep with the glasses she just got, causing them to break. Some days later, Kimura was sent by his mom to get some ketchup from the convenience store, and on his way there he saw some gift boxes wrapped in colors of love, which made him realize that Valentine's Day was fast approaching. He fantasized about Mai giving him a Valentine's gift, and when he loudly wished for it to happen, Mai popped up behind him without her glasses and asked who was calling her name, startling him in the process. Kimura started fawning over how cute she looked in city girl clothes, and he asked her how she managed to come all the way from home there without her glasses on. She assured him that she'd be fine because she knew the area, and then asked what he meant when he said he was wishing she'd give him something. He was stunned about the fact that she'd heard his dumb fantasies, and he thought about how much it would destroy him if she rejected him, causing him to decide not to let her find out about his feelings for her. When he realized that the entire town was decorated in Valentine's colors, he feared that she'd realize his feelings for her and crush his romantic dreams forever. She pointed out that the city was all colored in red and asked if they were doing Azuma ovations, which made him feel relieved over the fact that she hadn't figured out his feelings. When they went to the supermarket, she revealed that her mom sent her to get some mayonnaise, and Kimura felt overjoyed about the fact that he was shopping with the girl of his dreams. However, his joy was cut short when she asked what he wanted her to give him, and luckily they were interrupted when a waiter came by to offer some free samples. When he noticed that the waiter was standing right beside the Valentine's chocolate section, he started to panic again, and he rushed to take a free sample with her before taking a box of chocolates and dragging Mai to another portion of the supermarket. She pointed out that his hands were warm and said it was better to have cold hands when making chocolates, which made him ask if she was making some chocolates at home. She admitted that she was and pointed out that Valentine's Day was coming soon, eventually realizing that the reason the city and the supermarket were all love-coded was because of this. Kimura tried to change the subject by showing her the aisle where mayonnaise were stacked, but she said she'd figured out that he wanted her to get him some chocolates for Valentine's Day, causing his non-existent brain to overheat because he feared that she'd realized his feelings. She told him she'd give him some chocolates because she planned on giving all of her friends, and this made him realize that he was still caged up in the friend zone. But he still felt grateful about the fact that he'd be receiving a friendship chocolate. On Valentine's Day, Kimura watched Mai hand out some friendship chocolates to all her pals in class despite the fact that she forgot her glasses, and he felt uneasy about the fact that he'd be getting some friendship chocolates like the rest of the losers in his class. However, when she came by to hand him his chocolate, she realized that there was none left for him, causing both of them to feel bummed. Kimura decided to look forward to getting chocolate the next year, and he pondered over the possibility of getting chocolates that were more personal than friendship chocolates if he confessed his feelings to her. She once again interrupted his brainstorming to ask if he'd be free after school. After school that day, the two of them met in class, and she said she wanted to give him something else because she thought it would be wrong to leave him out after gifting all of her friends. However, she couldn't think of anything to give him, so she offered to do anything he requested, and after minutes of losing his mind, he asked her to listen to something he had to say. Kimura stood up from his seat, and he was worried because he knew that what he was about to say could ruin their relationship, but he knew he had to do it at that moment because she couldn't see his pathetic facial expression. He struggled for minutes, trying to get any word to come out of his mouth. But he was just too chicken to tell her how he feels, so he sat back down and said he'd do it when she could see his face. In response, she smiled and said she'd wait for him, causing him to panic once again because he feared that she'd already figured out his secret, and when she gave him a piece of chocolate she found in her pocket, he decided that he'd confess his feelings to her in the next year. 1 month later, it was White Day, and Kimura was in class with a snack which he intended to give Mai as a way of returning a favor to her. When Mai came into class, he noticed she was looking like someone ran over her Pokemon, and she revealed that it was because she'd skipped her morning cocoa before realizing that she'd forgotten her glasses again. She also told him that she'd spent the last few weeks eating all of the friendship chocolates she got, which made her fear that she was going into a gluttonous rampage, and Kimura agreed to help her abstain from sweets for the meantime, so he ended up not giving her the snack he brought for her. Their talk was interrupted when Azuma came to give Mai some snacks in return for the Valentine's chocolate she gave him, and in the process, he informed her that it was White Day. Kimura started feeling jealous because he wanted to be the first one to hand her something, and when Azuma left, he managed to stop her from stuffing her face with the cookies Azuma just gave her. Some hours later, Kimura stopped her again from eating the cookies, and just then, Takeda came by to give her some chocolates in response to the ones she gave him. Like a typical doofus, she tried to eat it immediately, and Kimura was right there to stop her once again. He noticed how badly she was struggling with her urge to eat these sweets, and despite the fact that he thought she was adorable in that state, he decided to do a little tough love and stop her no matter what. When he suggested holding on to the sweets for her, She immediately tried to eat them again, and when Azuma's cookies were millimeters away from her mouth, Kimura stopped her and suggested she have some of his own sweets instead. She grabbed the snack from his hand and he tried to tell her not to bother eating it, but she immediately stuffed her face in it while giving off a cute appreciative expression that left Kimura speechless. Several days later, Kimura met Mai in class, and she was celebrating the fact that she filled up a point card which was meant to give her free access to a bunch of sweets, and she told him it was expiring the next day, which meant that she had to go to the post box the next day, else the card would expire. He pointed out that the closest post box was at a post office close to the school, and she said she'd never been there before, so he offered to take her there after school so she wouldn't get lost. Just then, 2 random NPCs in their class came by and asked Kimura to hit the arcade with them after school, and he expressed his desire to visit it with them, but ended up turning them down because of his post office date with Mai. Some minutes later, Mai was feeling horrible about the fact that she was preventing Kimura from having fun with friends after school, so she told him that she'd find her way to the post office by herself. When he brought up the fact that she was without her glasses, she said she was wearing contact lenses, and he instantly knew she was lying, which made him wonder what had gotten into her. Just then, the teacher called Mai to read a passage, and she did so perfectly until she met a Japanese word that was way too complex for her to read with blurry vision, and she weaseled her way out of the situation by coughing in place of the word. After the class, she saw an instruction on the board to switch classrooms, and when her friends came by to offer help in doing so, she rejected their offer and ran off on her own because she didn't want Kimura to realize that she needed help with the post office stuff. After she left, Kimura's friends came by to tell him that the arcade they were going to would have the GTA 6, and one of them asked if his plans were so important that he couldn't come and fool around at the arcade with them, causing him to remember how lost Mai was when she initially tried changing classrooms. Meanwhile, Mai was moving from classroom to classroom trying to figure out which one she was meant to be in, and she thought about how she felt lonely on her own, but didn't want Kimura to miss out on hanging out with his friends for her. Just then, Kimura showed up and offered to help her find the place. She tried to play it like she wasn't lost, but Kimura still showed intention of helping her out, so she confessed that she wanted him to play with his friends without worrying about her. She went further to say that despite the fact that she wanted him to have fun with his friends, she enjoyed being around him and wanted him all to herself, which made Kimura so flustered that his head nearly exploded. After school, they successfully placed the card in the post box, and afterwards, Mai asked Kimura if he liked arcade games, to which he replied that he loved games he could play where no one bothered him. Soon, it was a new school year, and Kimura, who was moving to a higher grade, was surprised by how fast the year went by, but he was also thankful about the fact that he ended up in the same class as me again. Just then, the teacher called out all the students with perfect attendance records, and me and Kimura ended up getting called up along with the rest of the bunch. When they went out to the corner, Kimura noticed that some students were scared of Mai's glare, so he decided to help her loosen up a bit before she went out to the stage in order to preserve her reputation. In an attempt to cheer her up, he tried to show her a pressure point on his palm, but she couldn't see it, so she suggested he show her using her own palm instead. As he felt up her palm, she started saying all manner of cute things that made his mind go bonkers, and afterwards, Kimura realized that she looked a bit less angry than she was before. After Kimura took his certificate, he was feeling very nervous as he stood by the corner, and he started to remember all of the precious memories he had in the previous year with Mai. When Mai took her own certificate, he remembered her telling him that time flies when you're having fun, and he realized that it was exactly a year ago that he noticed how beautiful her eyes were for the first time. A while later, the students lined up in class to pick up ballots for their new seats, and Kimura worried that Mai would end up picking a seat beside someone who wouldn't help her out like he does. Kimura ended up picking the same spot he stayed during the previous year, and he lost it when he saw that Mai's new seating partner was Azuma. Just then, a girl named Yuika came and sat beside Kimura, and Azuma told Mai that Kimura was seated in the corner where he usually stayed, causing her to squint intensely as she tried to spot him. Suddenly, Narumi walked up to her and said that she was in her spot, causing Mai to realize that she was meant to be in a spot that was much closer to Azuma. When she moved, Azuma started rizzing her up, and Kimura was losing his mind as he watched it happen. When Mai started staring at Kimura intensely, he tried to play it cool by exchanging introductions with Yuika, but it ended up doing him more emotional damage than her. During class, Kimura kept staring at Mai while wondering when she'd stare at him again. And it got so excruciating for Yuika that she offered to switch seats with Mai. Mai agreed and moved back to the spot beside Kimura. When he asked if she would have preferred being in front, she replied that being a backbencher was more ideal for her because she'd be caught instantly if she dozed during class if she stayed in front. Kimura, of course, felt happy about this, and even happier when she said her other reason was because it would be weird if she keeps staring back to see him during class. Several days later, the arts teacher paired the students up to draw portraits of each other, and Mai decided to give it her best despite the fact that she forgot her glasses. Kimura knew he'd end up appreciating whatever Mai drew, and he was determined to buy it and put it on his front door. Mai suddenly got up close to him in an attempt to draw him better, but it didn't work, so she asked to draw him using the image she had of him in her head. When she was done drawing the portrait, Kimura was stunned to see that the picture turned out half decent, but the teacher ruined his dreams of hanging it on his front door by collecting it from him. A while later, Mai was using the bathroom and Narumi came by and started some small talk with her. She took things a bit too far by getting uncomfortably close with Mai and fawning over how pretty her eyelashes and skin were, causing Mai to be haunted by the experience. When Kimura walked up to her in class, she tried to get up close to him as usual, but the image of Narumi's pestering flashed in her mind, causing her to immediately jump away while apologizing to him. A couple of days later, Kimura sprinted home after school, and when he arrived, he started flipping out over the fact that he was carrying Mai's glasses in his bag. 30 minutes earlier, Mai was in class without her glasses when her friends came by to call her, and she ended up leaving her glasses on her table when she followed them. Kimura walked into class shortly afterwards and saw her glasses on the table, which made him baffled as he tried to figure out what to do with them. When he remembered that he had Mai on Lime, he texted her that she'd forgotten her glasses in class and asked what he should do. She told him to leave them there, but he was worried that they could get stolen or harmed over the weekend, so he asked her if it was okay for him to take it home with him. After she agreed, he happily took them home, and that brings us to the present time where Kimura started having virgin fantasies about the glasses. He clutched his bag tightly as he climbed upstairs with it, making his mother think that he was hiding a whole bag of cultured magazines, and when he got to his room, he placed them high on his shelf. He tried to do some studying, but he couldn't concentrate because cute images of Mai kept flooding his brain, and he decided to put on the glasses himself, but that only made things worse as his non-existent brain had an even bigger meltdown over the fact that he'd tarnished Mai's glasses. Meanwhile, Mai was reading a book with her spare pair of glasses, and she wondered if the glasses she left with Kimura had her fingerprints on them. At the same time, Kimura was admiring his work after wiping the glasses clean, and he got worried over the fact that he'd cleaned Mai's glasses without her permission. He calmed himself down by reminding himself that they were just glasses, and just then, he got a call from Mai who thanked him for taking care of her glasses. She asked if they were dirty and immediately retracted her question by apologizing for asking something weird. However, she made things even more weird by saying that the fact that her glasses were at his place made it seem like she was visiting him, and Kimura instantly got a vision of Kimura sitting on his shelf while saying charming things to him. After the call ended, he tried to wipe his eyes off, but the image remained there and he ended up having a sleepless weekend because the image appeared even at night when he was trying to sleep. Several days later, Mai came to school without her glasses again, and she got up close to Kimura like she usually does. But this time she ended up tripping and falling on top of him, causing his face to glow red like a tomato. When she got back up, she apologized and spoke of a time where she accidentally fell on top of him in such a way that their lips touched, causing Kimura to lose his mind until she clarified that it was with her dad and not him. Kimura got worried over the fact that she'd seen him flustered, and she begged him not to see her as a bad girl before rushing to her seat out of embarrassment. Another day, Asuka pointed out that Mai's hair looked messy and Kimura started worrying for Mai when he noticed how much it bothered her. He felt it was fine since she couldn't see it herself, and when she asked him what he thought of her hair, he said it was fine, causing her to thank him. On a random rainy day, Mai and Kimura were in class and Kimura told Mai about how his shoulders were hurting, which made her suggest giving him a good shoulder rub to make him feel better. He knew that the sensation of rubbing his shoulders would be too much for his baby elephant to handle, so he immediately declined the offer, but she insisted on giving him one with a cute expression on her face until he eventually folded. As she rubbed Kimura's shoulders, he noticed that it felt nice, and she bragged about how she could do it with her eyes closed. When she finished, Kimura noticed that she started jotting down something, and when he asked what she was writing, she said she was making a list of things she could do for him without glasses on, causing his Smurf-sized brain to its millionth meltdown of the month. Several hours later, Mai watched as Kimura dozed off on his locker, and she whispered to him that 6th period was about to start, but it was no good because he was already in another dimension. She sat in front of him and toyed around with his hand until he woke up, and she got super flustered while staring at his bright red face. She tried to explain that she was only getting a good look at him because she didn't forget her glasses that day, and when she told him to do the same to her, he immediately declined in a cowardly manner. On another rainy day, Kimura met Mai on the way to school, and like usual, she'd forgotten her life support device. She said she had to walk carefully to school in order to avoid accidents, but literally the next second she stepped inside a puddle that messed up her shoes and socks. When they got to class, Mai noticed that Kimura was staring at her, so she asked him to look the other way before taking off her muddy footwear. Afterwards, she told him it was okay to look again and revealed that she was throwing away her socks. But Kimura was so flustered by the sight of her bare feet that he decided to watch the rain instead of her. The next day, Kimura saw Mai chilling on the playground and started to wonder if it was okay for him to talk to her until she noticed him in the corner. She revealed that she was waiting for her mom to get home since she'd forgotten her keys, and she asked him to push her on the swing. Kimura went behind her at the swing, and after minutes of panicking like an idiot, he finally pushed her on the swing and did so repeatedly until he noticed that her heavenly gates were opening in front for everyone to see, causing him to stop her ride. When he tried to explain to her, he noticed that their faces were a breath away from each other, so he leaped away in embarrassment, and his brain got even more spiked when she nonchalantly showed him that her Under Armour was the sports kind as a way of quelling his concerns. Sometime later, Mai tried to help Kimura move his locker when suddenly his App Store card fell from it, and Kimura worried that she'd see him as a loser for being a cheapskate who spends most of his allowance on low-budget games, but it turned out she had no idea what it was. When she asked what it was, he said it was an Apple card, so she returned it to him, and he felt relieved over the fact that he didn't introduce her to the pathetic life of gaming. As they had lunch, he hoped that she wouldn't think too much about the Apple card thing, but she interrupted his brainstorming by handing him a slice of apple, which he ended up returning. That night, Kimura got a call from Mai, who mistook him for Asuka as she asked where the washroom was, and when he replied, she realized she was talking to Kimura, so she apologized for calling him so late. After she ended the call, he called back and offered to help her out with her predicament. So she explained that she was sleeping over at Asuka's house, and she was trying to find her way to the ladies' room without her glasses, which she'd lost. She told him the house was dark, and when he asked if there were any light switches around, she revealed that her ribbon got stuck in something, which made him flustered because he figured out that her pajamas had ribbons on them. She revealed that the sleepover with Asuka was a hellish horror movie watch along which she was forced into, and she asked him to sing for her in order to distract her. Kimura started singing a school song, causing her to laugh at him, and when he heard his mom approaching his room, he immediately jumped to cover himself with his sheets. He was determined to keep Mai distracted with his voice while staying quiet enough not to attract his mother's attention, so he whispered to Mai, causing her face to glow red. After his mom left the area, Kimura lied that he accidentally put himself on mute and suggested she use her phone's flashlight. Thanks to the flashlight, she successfully found the bathroom, and before using it, she whispered into the phone, causing Kimura to stumble off his bed. After using the bathroom, she found her way back to the bedroom and apologized for all the trouble she'd caused him so far. Kimura wished they could spend all night talking, but unfortunately she told him good night and hung up the phone before falling asleep on top of her friend. Several days later, all the students were gathered at the pool area of the school, and Kimura was worried about Mai because for the 1,000th time she'd forgotten her glasses, and when he saw her holding some goggles, he wondered if they were prescription goggles. Just then, his friend Tomo interrupted his brainstorming session to tell him that he was staring a bit too hard, and when Asuka whispered something into Mai's ear, her reaction showed that she was embarrassed, causing Kimura to drown in shame. The next day, Kimura finished shopping at the convenience store, and he met up with Mai outside, who was eating a popsicle. When she finished eating that popsicle, he noticed that she won a prize, so he stopped her from throwing away the popsicle stick. because she forgot her glasses. She couldn't even read what the stick said, so she decided to give Kimura the prize before running off. Another day, Kimura followed a stray cat to a spot behind the school gym where Azuma was having a romantic talk with a girl, and being a worthless busybody, he hid behind the nearby tree to figure out what was going on. As he hid there, he saw Mai walk into the area while making cat noises to attract the cat, and he felt he needed to do something to prevent things from getting messed up. Mai continued to make cat sounds until the cat eventually walked up to her. Kimura was still on edge because he didn't want Mai to accidentally ruin whatever Azuma was cooking up with that girl, and he felt relieved when he saw her give all her focus to the cat. Just then, the girl Azuma was with started confessing her feelings to him, and Mai's cat chose the worst time imaginable to start moving around again. When Mai attempted to follow the cat, Kimura immediately rushed to pull her into the tree where he was hiding before she could ruin the moment. The girl told Azuma she liked him, but he turned her down by revealing that there was someone else he liked. Behind the tree, Mai realized that she was mere seconds away from ruining that girl's big moment, and Kimura felt that at some point he was going to be the one confessing his love for Mai. Some days later, the school announced a field trip to a museum where the students would be grouped into teams of 3 to 6 students each. Being a regular Simp Lord, Kimura couldn't listen to a word his teammates were saying because he was thinking about Mai. So one of his teammates named Tomo suggested he teams up with her instead. Kimura tried to deny the fact that he'd been staring at her, but the other teammate brought up the fact that she was prone to forget her glasses every time, and this made him realize that he wanted to be in her group so that he could look after her during their field trip. However, he pointed out that didn't have the courage to ask Mai to join their group, causing Tomo to remind him that each group could take a maximum of 6 members, meaning they could just combine his group with theirs. Kimura was still feeling shy about asking them, so he and the boys argued over who would do the talking while Mai watched them from afar. Asuka called Mai's attention and told her to be careful not to misplace her glasses. Mai said she'd be fine because she has a spare pair of glasses in her bag, causing Asuka to ask why she doesn't carry it every time to school. Mai explained that she preferred it being at home on regular school days, but didn't have a choice this time, and Asuka changed the subject by asking Mai if she wanted to be with Kimura since she'd been staring at him for so long. She told her to invite him, and right when Mai said she wanted to go with Kimura, Kimura and his boys appeared right beside her. Asuka asked Kimura to merge groups with them for Mai's sake, and Kimura agreed, so the 6 of them officially became a group for the field trip. When the 2 lovebirds were alone, Mai asked Kimura why he decided to join their group, and he replied that he just wanted them to go together. When she admitted to feeling the same way, Kimura felt relieved, and she went even further to say that she felt safe when she was with him. Their team spent the next several hours planning for their trip, and that night, Mai packed up her spare glasses before heading to bed. On the bed, she thought about how she didn't want to cause any trouble for Kimura during the trip because of her dumbness, and she ended up not getting any sleep that night. The next morning, Kimura ran to class to meet up with the team, and Mai arrived shortly afterwards with the tragic news that she accidentally broke her glasses while running to school. However, she said it was okay because she brought her spare glasses. In the bus, Mai pulled out her spare glasses, and Asuka pointed out that she was also prone to get lost and overspend, which caused Kimura to lose his cool because he knew he'd have his hands full during the trip. Asuka brought up the fact that Mai once bought a pair of fake glasses when they visited Kamakura, and when Mai put on her spare lens, she realized that they were the fake ones she was talking about. When they arrived at the museum, Asuka said she'd collect everyone's report later, and Kimura realized that Mai couldn't see that exhibit to write her report because she accidentally bought her fake glasses on that day. While Kimura was brainstorming on a way to help her out, Mai randomly fell on top of him, causing him to get an armful of her tiny oranges as he caught her. He showed her an easier way of looking at the exhibit, and she instantly realized that he figured out her secret. So she started to feel bad about the fact that she clumsily forgot her glasses again. He consoled her by reminding her that she only mistook the pair for another, and said he liked being helpful to her. He felt his statement was cringe and tried to retract it, but she thanked him for it and told him to look around the area while she wrote her report. Kimura felt uneasy because in his mind, she was trying to distance herself from him, and it didn't take long before Mie got lost in the area. Kimura ended up finding her, and the fact that she was relying on him made him pleased because it was evidence that she wasn't casting him away for his cringeness like she thought. Mai suddenly started bawling her eyes out as she expressed how pathetic she felt for always depending on him, and he tried to console her by telling her that he didn't see her as a bother at all. The more she cried, the more Kimura's eyes got watery as well, and he remembered everything the two of them had been through since they first started hanging out. He told her that he wished she forgot her glasses every day, and when she asked why, he came up close to her as he confessed that he loved helping her out. On their way back from the trip, everyone was napping in the bus apart from Kimura, who was bothered by the fact that Mai hadn't talked to him ever since their little heart-to-heart. Mai suddenly called to his attention and held his hand while saying that his words made her extremely happy. The next day, Mai was in school the next day thinking about what Kimura told her during the trip, and she decided to use her contact lenses so she wouldn't be much of a bother to him. When he met her in class, she told him she was going to be using her contact lenses from that point on, and he took his seat while telling her not to stress herself out. Some hours later, Mai met up with Asuka, who had a bit of small talk with her before rushing out to have a chat with a boy named Tomo who she was in love with. Mai spent the next couple of hours pondering over what love really meant, and afterwards, she met Kimura by the hallway. He asked how her contact lenses were serving her, and she replied that they were still a bit bumpy before confessing that she preferred him helping her. She randomly got up close to Kimura while holding his cheek, and she tried to figure out the facial expression he was making. She remembered that it was the exact facial expression Asuka made when she realized she was in love with Tomo, and this got her so startled that she ran away. As she ran, she realized that she was someone special to Kimura and also that she felt the same way about him. The next day, Mai arrived in class without her glasses, and when Kimura asked if he could share textbooks with her, she replied in a gleeful manner which surprised him. She startled him by coming up close to him, and when he asked why she was doing that, she said she just wanted to see his face before happily running away. After she left, Kimura tried to figure out why the clumsy four eyes were in a good mood, and Narumi suddenly interrupted his thinking by accusing him of kissing Mai. Yuika ended up clearing the matter by explaining to her that Mai was just getting up close to him like she normally does when she forgets her glasses, and when they left, Kimura got worried because he didn't want such troubling rumors to be spreading about them. Just then, Mai came back to class and she asked why Kimura was acting bummed, to which he replied that he was feeling a bit ill. In response, she gave him a nose mask from her bag, and when she got up close to him again, he tried to avoid staring at her so that people wouldn't get the wrong idea about them. This continued for several more hours until sports period, where Mai watched Narumi casually discuss with Kimura before tripping on a basketball and falling on her face. Kimura rushed to her aid, and he took her to the office of the nurse, who gave her an ice pack and recommended she take some rest. When the nurse left the room, Mai asked Kimura what he does on weekends, and he mentioned several of the usual loner hobbies including gaming, which made her ask if he liked coin gaming. When he admitted to liking them, she revealed that she went to play arcade games in secret sometimes because she wasn't allowed to go unless she went with her dad. Kimura asked why she was asking, and she replied that she just wanted to talk because they hadn't had enough time to talk that day due to the frequent interactions between him and Narumi. This made Kimura realize that he'd been a doofus all day for ignoring his girl because he was worried about Narumi, and Mai asked if she could come up close to him once a day when she forgets her glasses so she could see his face. This question threw Kimura's pea-sized brain into disarray, and she made things even more intense by confessing that she always wanted to see his face. Kimura noticed how anxious she was feeling, so he told her that she could look at his face as much as she wanted, but immediately realized how cringe he sounded. Mai promised not to do it too much, but she spent the next couple of hours staring intensely at his face, and even though Kimura was satisfied by this because she seemed happy. Some days later, Kimura and Mai wrapped up cleaning duty, and just when they were about to head home, Kimura noticed that Mai's hair was stuck in a locker. He lost his cool when she tried to rip it out with her bare hands, and Kimura ended up helping her cut it out with a pair of scissors. Much later in class, Mai tried to tie her hair into a ponytail, but she dropped her hairband, and when Kimura helped her pick it up, she asked him to help her do her hair. Kimura nervously tended to her hair, and after a few minutes, he successfully fixed her ponytail. After thanking him, she said she wished things were like that between them every morning, leaving Kimura baffled by what she meant. On a random rainy day, Kimura and the rest of his classmates were at school making some preparations for their upcoming cultural festival, and Kimura was soon approached by Mai, who asked if he wanted to take a break. Kimura replied that he'd take a break when he was done pasting some decorations on the wall, and she tried to help him out but flopped hard. Kimura ended up teaching her the process of making these decorations, but even that didn't go well, and he noticed that she was acting a bit moody during their lesson. Mai told him to let her know when he was done doing decorations or wanted to take a break, and after she left, Kimura realized that Mai wanted to take a break with him. When he left to get some glue, Mai came by to follow him, and they went to a private classroom where she dragged him inside and stared at him intensely. He felt they were being a bit sus, so he suggested going to another classroom, but Mai stopped him by saying she preferred it when no one else was around. Kimura eventually allowed her to have her eye full of his face, and she complained that the room was too dark for her to see. Kimura felt she was always asking to look at him because she felt better when she sees people up close, but he eventually started to wonder if she saw him as someone special to her. He ended up getting so startled that he looked away, and he wondered what exactly he was to Mai. When he got back to class, Azuma told him to go wash his face because it had been smeared with the black paint that was all over Mai's hands during their little intense bonding session. A few days later, Kimura arrived in class to the shocking sight of Mai crawling on the floor of the class, and when he asked what was wrong, she revealed that she'd dropped something that was just as tiny as his manly jewels. When she found it, he was stunned to see that it was a piercing because he'd never seen Mai with a piercing before. He wondered if she had her ears pierced, and even when the teacher announced the start of class, he still kept fantasizing about Mai having pierced ears. During class, Mai fell asleep on his desk, and he snuck a peek at her slightly exposed ears, but it didn't look like it had any piercings. After class, Komura and his friends were doing some more festival preparations, and just when he decided to get the whole piercing thing out of his mind, Mai showed him the piercing she had. She revealed that it was just a bead and that she didn't actually have any piercings, causing him to ask what she used the beads for. She explained that she was using the beads as eyes for an octopus doll she was making for the festival, and Kimura felt pathetic because he chose to make a ball which wasn't half as creative as what she was cooking up for the festival. When she brought out a needle to use in making her piercing, Kimura told her to be careful with it, and she expressed how she thought piercings were scary. Kimura said he felt the same way, which was why he never got a piercing despite his mom's numerous requests for him to do so. Mai randomly looked at him up close with the piercing being placed on his ear and said he looked cool, which made him so flustered that he spent the entire night researching piercings that would suit him. The next day, the students were making some final preparations for the festival, which was fast approaching, and when Asuka brought up some evening prep they needed to do, Mai told her about her curfew at 6, which she would get scolded if she skipped. Asuka asked every student around to raise their hand if they could be in school by 7, and among the students who raised their hand was Kimura, who felt it would be convenient for him to help out given the fact that his home was close to the school. Just then, Norami started pestering him with questions about his love life with Miyagain until Mi interrupted them by boldly declaring that she'd stay in school till 7 to help with the culture festival preparations. Norami was pleased with her decision, but Kimura was worried, and he wondered if she decided to stay just so she could walk home with him that evening. He slapped himself when he realized how ridiculous he was being, and Norami ran away while putting him and Mai in charge of a section of the preparations which involved putting out name tags and art pieces. During the task, Mai confessed that she was feeling a bit anxious because she'd never stayed in school that late, and after watching her shiver around for some minutes, Kimura considered telling her to go home. However, he found her phone on the ground and noticed that it had a missed call from her Pazuma TS. When Mai noticed he wasn't around, he hid behind the curtain nearby and watched as she told Asuka she was heading home after seeing the missed call on her phone. After she left the gym, Kimura chased after her and saw her searching for her shoes in her locker again. She spent several minutes searching and eventually decided to leave with her gym shoes. Kimura picked up her original shoes and reminisced about the time when she accidentally wore his own shoes before following her with her shoes in hand. He followed her up to a point in the road where she stopped and started crying intensely while he hid behind a vending machine. When she got home, he turned back and decided to return her shoes the next day as he walked back home. However, he ended up visiting her home anyways, and he introduced himself to Mai's mom as her classmate before cooking up a brilliant lie to save Mai from her mom's wrath by telling her mom that the reason she was late was because he accidentally wore her shoes home. After he left, Mai's mom used a lighter tone than the one she had earlier to tell her to go eat dinner, And as Kimura walked home, he felt selfish because he did all that just because he wanted to see Mai happy the following day. The next morning, Kimura was surprised to see that Mai had her glasses on for once, and he felt thankful about the fact that he didn't cause trouble for her with the little stunt he pulled the previous evening. Some hours later, Kimura read Mai's essay about things that happened recently and felt that there was no way he could write something so creative. Afterwards, he marveled at Mai's creation at the art exhibit, and he saw her looking at the stupid ball he created and got embarrassed because of the fact that she was wearing her glasses. When it was time for the arts display, Mai left the school gym and Kimura met her on the outside, where they both expressed how much they liked each other's essay. When she tried to look at his face like she normally does, he stopped her and started asking all manner of dumb questions to hide the fact that he was insecure about his ugliness. When he asked why she wanted to see his face so often, she said she found it calming but promised to hold back on looking at his face all the time. However, Kimura said it was okay for her to look as much as she wanted and said he wanted to look at her face as well. Surprisingly, she agreed, so he held her by the chin and started passionately into her eyes. He ended up backing off after getting overwhelmed by her beauty, and she claimed that she always acted spoiled around him because he was nice like a dad. Kimura was lost in thought as she couldn't believe she just placed him in the dad zone, and he eventually followed her back to the gym. The cultural festival ended up being a success, and afterwards, the students were presented with a next hurdle, which was the personal planning survey, which required them to select which school they intended to go after graduating. Kimura decided to talk about his own decision with his mom, and when Mai asked what he wanted to do in the future, Kimura realized that he had no aspirations for the future, but he decided to disguise it by saying he wouldn't tell her. Mai said she wanted to tell him about her dreams, but she ended up showing him a past photo of herself where she stated that her dream was to become her dad's bride. Kimura asked what her dream Kurizuma Tly was, and she replied that she didn't really have one. She however stated that he'd love to own a fish someday, and added that she'd love to get married as well to someone other than her dad, of course. She revealed that she was pretty good at making omelette rice and showed him a picture of a Gordon Ramsay-level dish she made to back up her claims. When he asked what she drew with the ketchup in the dish, she suddenly got embarrassed and lied that it was a hand. Later that day, Kimura dug through his belongings and brought out his old photo album with the intention of checking if he had any dreams during his past years. However, he saw that the only dream written there for him was to be an office worker, so he got worked up over the fact that he didn't have any future aspirations even back then. When he went downstairs for dinner, he tried to replicate the drawing which Mai did in her omelette, and his mom instantly identified it as a maple leaf, which meant Kimura in Japanese. His face started glowing red, and as he ate his meal, he imagined what Mai's omelette rice would taste like while having a vision of her dining right next to him. After regaining some composure, he took one bite of his omelette rice, which caused him to have a vision of Mai, and he realized that she was the future he sought. The next morning, Kimura filled the future portion of his survey with the words Mai's husband, but he realized how dumb he sounded and tried to erase it. However, by the time Mai arrived to greet him, he could only erase it up to the point where it said husband, causing her to wonder whose husband he was planning on becoming. He tried to play it cool by saying he didn't have anyone in particular in mind, but he instantly noticed how angry that made her. During cooking practice, the students were grouped together by random draw, and Kimura felt jealous about the fact that the guys in Mai's group would get to eat her homemade cookies. He tried to focus on the cooking he was doing with Yuika, but he got jealous as he watched Azuma getting all chatty with Mai during their meal prep. Tomo told Mai that it wasn't a good idea for her to make coin-shaped cookies for Kimura because recently he faced a bit of coin shortage at the arcade, which frustrated him. When Mai asked about Kimura's gaming habits, Tomo revealed that Kimura was a bigger gaming nerd than PewDiePie, and also that he gave most of his winnings to his mom. When Azuma made a perfectly shaped bird cookie, she asked if he liked making cookies, and he ended up telling her about a girl that lived next door to him which he liked. He claimed that she wouldn't even look at him because she was a college student, and said he'd try to tell her his feelings so that he'd have a chance at starting a future with her. After school that day, Mai said goodbye to Azuma, and seeing this made Kimura completely lose his mind because he thought the Riz Lord had stolen his girl. Mai made things even worse by telling him how much Azuma was thinking like a grown-up, and as Kimura walked home, he felt pained by the fact that Mai was complimenting someone else. However, Mai chased him down and stopped him before nearly passing out due to her lack of basic cardio skills. They went to a vending machine where she had some water and gave him a pack of her self-made cookies. She told him they were shaped like coins and invited him to try some. As he opened it, she shyly confessed that she made them for him because she thought he was hungry, and when she asked if she was slow, Kimura sang all manner of praises to her, which made both of them turn away in embarrassment. As Kimura ate the cookie, he thought about how he never wanted to leave her alone, and when she asked how they were, he said they were tasty. Some days later, Kimura was chilling in class when a humiliating past photo of him fell on the floor, and Tomo wasted no time before teasing him for it. When Mai and Asuka arrived, he showed them the photo, and while Mai struggled to piece together what she was looking at, Asuka noticed that he had black hair in that photo. Mai ended up making things weird by accidentally kissing the photo, and because of that, Kimura decided that the picture was now a national treasure. After school, Mai took Kimura to the park where she asked him to wait while she heads home to bring her glasses. In her absence, Kimura tried to play with the bars, but he realized that he was less athletic than DJ called, and it didn't take long before Mai came back. Mai asked to see the photo with her glasses on this time, and Kimura knew he had no choice but to accept because he'd already seen an embarrassing photo of her as well. However, he realized that he left in class, so he promised to let her see it the next day. When she asked how he was injured at the time of the photo, he said he was trying to do a backflip, so she asked him to give it a try once again. He tried over and over again and fumbled every time until he finally pulled it off, and Mai, who had already taken photos of his glorious Batman moment, decided to take one more photo of both of them together, which she said no one else would see. She handed him her glasses and tried to do a backflip herself, but ended up fumbling badly. However, her fall gave Kimura something to remember because he got an eye full of her undercarriage and a nosebleed for his troubles. The next day in school, Kimura noticed that Mai was wearing a new pair of glasses, and she told him they were just fashion glasses she was wearing to cover up the fact that she left her real glasses behind. After class, she told him to try out the glasses, and when he did, she asked him to take a selfie of himself so she'd be able to see it properly. She ended up bringing out her main glasses, revealing it was a trick all along to get him to be four-eyed buddies with her for the day. Another day during class, Mai fell asleep on Kimura's table as usual, and he realized how much he loved her hair, especially because of the sweet scent of her shampoo. Minutes later, one of Mai's friends named Maho gave her a little makeover by making her hair into a more stylish form, and Kimura couldn't believe how cute she looked with this new hairdo. Kimura tried to stop himself from staring at her, but he was just too much of a simp for his own good, and even when they went to the pool for another swimming class, he couldn't stop himself from ogling at her beautiful hair. During lunch break, he pointed out that Mai's hair had a grain of rice on it, but instead of taking off the grain like a normal person, Mai ended up undoing the entire hairdo. During English class, Mai fell asleep on top of Kimura's textbook again, but this time she ended up getting it soaked due to her wet hair, and when he pointed it out, she made Maho do the stylish hairdo once again. On their way back home after school, they discussed their favorite kinds of fish, and Mai asked Kimura what kind of clothes he liked, but before he could give an answer, she said she'd figure it out as she walked away. After they separated, Kimura overheard a random guy approach Mai and express how long it's been since they last saw each other. Naturally, he was interested in knowing if Mai knew this NPC, so he hid behind a vending machine to hear more of their conversation. Mai couldn't recognize him, so she asked for his name, and he introduced himself as a friend from elementary school named Eyes. Seeing that they were acquaintances, Kimura decided to go home, but as he walked away he felt a sudden wave of jealousy as he saw the two of them cheerfully conversing with each other. The next day, Mai met Kimura in class, and because she forgot her glasses, they shared lockers and textbooks once again. After class, she told Kimura about how she met someone from her elementary school who she knew the name of but couldn't recognize his face. This made Kimura worry that Mai would forget him because he knew that most of the time he spent with her was when she forgot her glasses. After class, Kimura helped Yuka carry some boxes, and as they walked through the halls, she told him there was a chance that Mai could eventually stop forgetting things. The next day, the teacher announced in class that their closing exams and summer break were fast approaching. As Kimura and Mai made their way home after school that day, Kimura revealed that he'd be going on vacation with his family during the break before advising her to carry a spare pair of glasses during their exams. On the day of their exam, Mai told Kimura about how he was the opposite of Eyes because he took care of her when she forgot her glasses rather than tease her. When the teacher shared their exam scripts, Kimura wondered if there was a way to prevent Mai from forgetting him because he knew there was a high chance that she'd do so when she eventually stopped forgetting her glasses. When the exams were over, Kimura and Mai went to the park where they both entered the slide house at the same time, and while they were in there, they looked passionately into each other's eyes until they got flustered and let go of each other. Afterwards, Mai shared the selfie they took at the park and told him not to forget about her during their summer break. As she tried to walk away, he held her back and yelled that he wanted to see her face the next day or sometime during the summer break, causing her to smile in relief. During their past years, they met at a convenience store, and Mai told Kimura about how Eyes bullied her by running off with her glasses. When he comforted her, she claimed he was a kind man like her dad and said she'd love to have a husband that was like him. Back in the present time, Mai cheerfully waved as she said goodbye to Kimura. If you were Kimura, would you rather have Mai on top of you in a heated night with glasses on or without the glasses? Let us know in the comments. That's all for today's video. If you like anime recaps like this, check out this video here.